So welcome back to Chat, Communications, Happenings, and Trends. So I'm going to go ahead and discuss the teacher strikes from last week. So last week, the West Virginia teachers' strike came to an end after 9 days of missed school when Governor Jim Justice signed their 5% increase in salary. So first, let's say congratulations to these teachers for actually holding their ground throughout this entire process. These pay increases were absolutely more than deserved, and they did a phenomenal job. So since even before its success, Oklahoma teachers are actually protesting a pension reform bill. Actify Press's writer, Sarah Sakja, talks about the importance of this strike in her article, Why You Should Care About the Outcome of the West Virginia Teacher Strike. She goes on to explain that no matter where you are from, the success of the strike actually does empower workers and their unions. She goes on to write that the success of the West Virginia teachers' strike holds immense possibilities for not even just teachers' unions, but others across the country as well. Now is the time for other unions to act in solidarity with West Virginia and Oklahoma. If we all work together, there will be no stopping us. She explains how statewide teachers' strikes are actually quite rare. She goes on to say that the first and only statewide teachers' strike was when the Florida Education Association went on strike in 1968. That particular strike lasted up to 3 months in some areas of the state. The strike was unsuccessful, but still served as a prominent landmark in labor history. That is until now. So prior to the West Virginia strike, West Virginia teachers were actually some of the lowest paid in the entirety of the United States. The 3 states that actually ranked lower were South Dakota. I guess they still are. So the 3 states that do rank lower are South Dakota, Mississippi, and Oklahoma, who, as we stated before, will be holding their own walkout next month, especially if nothing is done. So the momentum for these strikes started in the southern part of the state, which is considered Appalachian, and quickly moved into all 55 counties. They chose to wear red, like the striking coal miners who wore red bandanas around their necks many decades before them. So unlike the violent days of the coal miners' strikes, this one actually did go off without a hitch. Well, sort of. So the win did come with a price. It was $20 million will actually be cut from state programs, such as Medicaid, tourism, and actually highway repairs. So what happened, or why did this happen? Well, though, as we see more and more how corporate interests are put over those of the people, West Virginia in particular has a history of putting corporations first, especially those who have to deal with the fossil fuel industry. So in 2006, Democratic Senator Joe Manchin, who was then governor of West Virginia, lowered the corporate taxes, which led to the current deficit that is seen in the budget. The belief that corporations are more important didn't end with Manchin either. Jim Justice, which is their current governor, again, inherited his father's fortune, which was made from the coal mining industry and agriculture industries, and is the state's only billionaire. And he's definitely very pro-corporatist, or very corporate. He even changed his political party from Democrat to Republican last summer after showing support for Trump at a rally. So it also should be noted that Justice owes property taxes in the tune of $2.9 million to the state of Kentucky. So even with the $8 million in surplus West Virginia had in February's reported taxes, which is being contributed to consumer sales and use, business and occupation, and personal income taxes, they're actually looking at cutting some of the state-funded programs, and Medicaid is actually on that list. So currently 30% of West Virginians are on Medicaid. So only time will tell how this affects them. And this raise is due to go into effect July 1st of this year. So my initial impression is that, of course, they're going to cut anything having to actually help the public. Why? It's because they want to pit people against each other. So instead of raising the corporate tax rate, raising taxes for the super wealthy because they control everything, why not just have people fight against each other? And the best way to do this is to say, hey guys, for the people that are on Medicaid, which is apparently 30% of their entire state, that's a huge proportion. You know why you got cut? You know why you can no longer receive medical treatment? Yeah, it's because of our state workers, who state workers are not well paid to begin with. Because I think, isn't this 5% rate increase supposed to go also to every state worker, right? Yes. Not just teachers? Yep. Sorry, I'm asking Janet. That's true. She's nodding her head. Yes. Okay. Yes, so they're definitely pitting like the people against each other. It's a very easy fight to wage, and this is how it's waged. That is just my 2 cents about that. And I really think that that should be very well highlighted too, because it's alarming to me how easy it is to have people fight against each other instead of fighting the 1%.
This whole mess was brought about because of cutting corporate taxes. And here you have a guy that owes all these taxes to another state, has become governor of this state, and looks towards cutting, the programs that help people instead of, oh, hey, why don't we just raise some more taxes? And of course he's making money through the coal industry. So, that tells you right there where it all lies. And once again, we're talking about electing people into offices that do not represent the people. A billionaire does not represent the people. I'm sorry. Doesn't happen.
Yeah, and this kind of goes along with kind of what we were talking with Pamela about, right? About having people that have compassion in politics, not these corporate psychopaths that kind of say the right things, but obviously their record doesn't back up what they say at all. Why do we fall for it? I just think it's just something about people's charisma that tend to float up to the top in these positions that really help them. And I think that we need to start being so drawn into that type of charisma. We have to do our homework.
So that whole sports mentality, they want to win. They want to win. So a billionaire, he must be a winner. That's who we need to have represent us, because he's a winner. He's going to help me win. And no, he's out to help himself win. He's not out to help any of us. Not one.
And I'm sure there are some good billionaires. I'm kind of under the impression that if you're a billionaire, you probably aren't a very compassionate human being. But I could be wrong, of course. And, people do earn that money legitimately, but the majority, if not all of them, do that through exploitation. And so they exploit people to have their services produced. They exploit their environment, and subsequently exploiting more people because it damages their homes and their drinking water. It's just a very exploitative industry. Just the billionaire class industry is very exploitative to everybody that's underneath them. And the fact that people think that, oh, billionaires, yeah, they got my back. They'll look out for me because look how successful they've been. Well, they stepped on a lot of people's back to get to where they are. So no, they're not going to look out for you. They're in it for themselves. And nothing definitely highlights that more than Donald Trump, who is just the prime example of somebody being in it for themselves and only for themselves. I don't know how people don't see it. I just don't get it.
I don't see it. I just... It aggravates me because it's like, I'm for people making money. I know people that are millionaires. I know them personally. But they try to give back to other people, or they try to, at least try stuff. I still have problems with some of the stuff they do, but right. When you're talking billionaire, you don't need that money. You're not going to spend that money in your lifetime. You're not. And you don't need that money. And here you have people, suffering, people on 30% of your population on Medicaid because they can't afford, health benefits or don't have health benefits given to them. And a lot of these are children, and you got to take care of your own. You have to. You can't.
Not to mention that these people in West Virginia, that's coal country, right?
Yes.
So you're talking about people that need medical benefits because of black lung or whatever, because being in those coal mines is not a very healthy job. Surprise. So you're going to make sure that they're continually exploited, and then you're going to cut these people that have worked in that industry for these billionaires, by the way, their entire lives. You're going to cut their programs when they worked for you through their entire lives. Their family's working for you now because it's very kind of a familial job. And it just is shocking that you just lack the compassion to understand that, yeah, these people who worked and did work for you need your help now. It's alarming to me. It's despicable that we treat other people this way. It's horrible. Yeah, stop voting for these shitheads, by the way. People, wake up.